Hello there, welcome to 9 Little Aussies. My name is Chrissy and we are an Aussie family of 9 who are living on a little parcel of land here in East Texas, and we're just establishing a little homestead. We are learning as we go, as we learn how to grow our own food, our own veggies and fruits and meat. And today I thought it would be fun. This actually has sprung from a bit of an accident, this idea, because last week we took up to a processor. We were unable this time to harvest them ourselves. We took 85 meat birds up to a processor that we had raised from day-old chicks, and they are sitting nicely in the freezer now, but we missed one. We accidentally left one at home, and the way we managed to do this is that I had taken one of the birds whose legs had kind of gone from under them and they weren't getting to the feed and water. And so they were failing to thrive really. And I thought, if I don't put this bird separate, it's gonna die. So I put it in the mudroom in an old water trough with hay in the bottom and just gave it its own feed and water. Well, on the day we went to do the processing, I completely forgot that bird was there. So there it remained until today. So here's what I'm going to do. We got home from processing, and or actually driving up there, I was like, oh man, we forgot that bird in the mudroom. Now I'm going to have to do it by hand, which is fine. We've done that before, but it's just the hassle of getting all set up for one bird. And then it occurred to me, well, this is how our grandparents did it. They waited until, you know, probably back then it was a bird that stopped laying very much, and they decide, or a ornery rooster, or maybe they hatched chicks and had to put the roosters in the pot that were born instead of, you know, because you don't want too many roosters, you want hens. And I was thinking to myself, well, I guess it's just like back in the day, Granny would have gone and said, okay, let's do chicken tonight, and asked to one of the boys or hubby, or who, maybe she did it herself, to go get a hen or an old rooster, cut its head off and process it herself ready for a meal that night. So that's what we're going to do today. So if Granny can do it, I figure it's probably a good skill to have to practice, because ultimately, even with our laying flock, when they reach a certain age and they're not going to be producing eggs as much, we will be wanting to put them in the freezer. Maybe we'll do it all at once. Maybe we'll do it one at a time. I don't know. We haven't kind of got to that stage yet. So today is going to be my practice run of what it looks like to decide I want to cook chicken tonight. And right now, the chook I'm going to cook for my family is out there in the yard, and we're going to harvest it. We're going to scald it, pluck it, eviscerate, and create a beautiful, yummy meal all in one day. This is the bird in question.
We left her behind the butchering day.
Yes, put her away. So I've just set up this white table here. It's kind of, I don't know, the lighting's not going to be great for filming. And like I said, I'm not going to film the actual dispatch of the bird, as YouTube doesn't like that. But I am going to, I'm going to film the rest. We have our cone set up with a bucket underneath ready. I have a scalding pot here, which hopefully, it was boiling when I brought it out, so hopefully that'll be hot enough. All right, pop it in the scalder, dip it right down. We don't want to do it too long, but we want to get it good and scalded. Keep it in there, I'll tell you when, because it's 30.
No.
Get those tail feathers under, or they're going to be too hard to pluck.
You can get up there.
Okay, that's 30 seconds, or maybe go under one for 10 more because of those tail feathers. All right, when you pull it out, we're going to hose it off with cold water. All right, yep, that'll do. No, no, kids, don't touch this pot. It's still really hot. I don't want to kill my plant. Okay, just hold it for a minute. See if this is going. No, don't turn it off. Just hold. Just keep it kinked. The feathers are coming out. All right, so we have discovered already that we're just plucking it by hand, but we definitely left it in the hot water too long, which it's usually, they say 30 seconds. But I did deliberately leave it in a bit longer because the tail feathers were poking up, but now that's caused issues with everywhere else. And the skin is trying to come off, which we didn't, yeah, the skin is pulling off, which is not good. Anyway, it'll still be good meat. It's just I left it in too long in the scalder. And I think from memory, last time we did this, we kind of did, the first few birds are never ideal, and then you get into a swing of things and you get, like, you figure out your timing a bit more exactly. Anyway, see, I don't know if you can see this, but the skin has come off right there, and that's purely because we left it in too long. This bird is so little compared to the others, but that's because of the injury it had and it wasn't thriving. But at least this way we didn't sacrifice it entirely, and we still are gonna have meat from it. Oh, so gross. Meat birds are so gross. They're filthy critters. And then when they can't walk, they're even filthier. These are just the facts. See, skin's wanting to come out. So I guess this is what our grandparents did. If they wanted a chicken dinner, they didn't do meat birds, 100 meat birds, and put them in the freezer. They didn't have a freezer, so they went out and got a chicken. When they were ready, chopped its head off, gutted it, cut it up. I guess probably they didn't even chill it. Like, we're gonna chill this bird. Yeah, we definitely. Let's pull in the meat off, Zach, in the spots. Mm-hmm. So I've just taken the head off, put it in the bucket, and now I'm doing the legs. No, missed that one. I'll keep those. Actually, I'm supposed to take out this oil gland first. Oh, cut it. Darn it. It's easier if you can grab a hold of it. On the bigger birds you can. This one's so little. So just separating the windpipe from the rest of the neck right here. All right. Time to take this out. Kind of hard on my back at this point. This table is not ideal. Trying to find the windpipe from the other end. There it is. There it comes. Now, so that's the windpipe. Now, I also forgot to do this bit. Just to grab just above the tail. What I don't want is to get any of these. Maybe last time I pulled that all out first. I'm trying to remember which order I did it in, honestly. Okay. Let's do it this way. There's a little bone there, and you can kind of go down on that side of the bone. And then round under that anus. And then same on the other side. And it all just disconnects easily. There we go. All right, honey, can you get the hose and turn it on for me, please? Can you turn the hose on?
Oh, hose on. Hold on.
And then pass it to me, because this needs a real good hose off, real quick. Oh, did I get... I don't remember seeing a crop. The crop is the little pouch where they keep their food. Pass it up here, doll. Good boy. Pass it in. Can you make sure there's no kinks in it?
There's none.
There is none?
No, I just didn't put it on full.
I'm going to hose that out at a little bit of pressure. Oh! I got myself. Definitely not my best job with that over scalding. But wash this off.
There you go.
Turn the hose off for me, honey.
This one.
Well, the one nice thing, let me see if I can get better light. No, terrible light. It's a terrible time of day to be doing this, really. Okay, the one nice thing about doing one bird at a time is, like, I'm finished already, and that was about 10 minutes, 15 maybe, 20 minutes from start, like from including the butchering. So it really is kind of quick. You can see how that, you know, Granny might have decided to do chicken for dinner and had time to do that when this was a skill set she had, and she could just go out, get the chicken, butcher it, gut it, and now I'm going to take it inside and chill it, ready for, that's probably a better angle, ready for dinner. So I'm just wandering out here, and I'm going to throw this to the chickens, the feathers and everything. All right, you guys. They are by nature scavengers, and they do not care what it is that they eat. They'll eat anything. Okay, I am back inside the house, and I have been chilling this not for too long because I just wrapped it in a couple of grocery bags. And I have been chilling it, but I don't actually have a huge amount of time, because that happens, right? And I've got to go out tonight to a homeschool meeting that I'm going to. So and I don't think it matters that if it's not super chilled, because I am cooking it right away. Now what I'm going to do is make a chicken curry. It is a family favorite recipe. We do this curry often. It is delicious. And it is a good way to make one chook spread out. So if I am roasting a chicken or doing chicken and veggies, that kind of a meal, I need 2 chooks really. I need 2 birds to be able to feed all of our family. So right now we have 10 people in the house, and it definitely takes 2 birds. But one way I can make 1 chook feed all of us is if I do a stew or a casserole or a curry, that kind of thing, where I'm taking the meat from the bird, but I'm turning it into I'm adding a lot of other ingredients. So I will do this chicken curry over rice. It'll feed everyone, it'll be delicious, and it's with our own chicken. So I'm just literally going to take this bird and put it in this pot. Oopsie. I am actually going to save the feet, but I'm not putting the feet in the curry. Well, actually, because what I'm maybe I will, because what I'm going to do is I will cover this with water. I will actually, they weren't cleaned off properly, were they? No, I'm not going to use them just yet. I'm going to cover it with water. I'm going to, just enough to cover the chicken. I'm going to put it on to boil, and when the meat is cooked through, I'll take the meat off the bone, and then I'll save the bones and the carcass to make broth. That's what I'm saving the feet for, is to make broth. So I will do that, and then I will put the rest aside and make the rest of the curry ingredients. So I just realized outside I did not take the skin off the feet, which is why I didn't want to throw it straight in with the bird. You can see this one is half on, half off. And if you've scalded it properly, that should just peel right off. So I know this is possibly a bit cringy for people who are not used to it, but, and I didn't grow up butchering birds. I grew up with my parents, watching my dad especially, butcher pigs and sheep and goats and cattle. They didn't really do birds, and I think maybe it's because there's a lot of work involved in not a lot of meat. I don't know. I'm not really sure why, but so I've just learned how to do chickens as an adult. When you've done it a few times, it's actually a really cool skill set to have in your back pocket, even if, like, it's not my favorite thing to do. It really isn't. Gardening is my favorite thing to do, but I love having fresh, good meat that I know where it's come from. I know exactly what's gone into it. It's just lived the way chickens are supposed to live and had its best life, and then gone in our freezer and then fed our family. I mean, that to me is just exactly what I want. So it's worth the time and effort to learn how to do it, and even though it's not my favorite thing, to just get the job done, to be able to put a yummy meal on the plate. Okay, so this has been cooking. Oh, I've had a shower and got changed because I'm going out, but this has been cooking for a good while. I'm going to pull it out of the pot, put it over here so it can start to cool down a little bit so I can debone it. The recipe for this curry comes from the Trim Healthy Future recipe book. There's a few really lovely recipes in here that I use fairly often, and this is definitely one of them. So the first thing we had to do was just saute some garlic in a little bit of fat, and then I had deboned the chicken and cut it all up into small pieces. I saved the stock and got the herbs ready. 1 tablespoon of ground cumin, 2 tablespoons of ground coriander, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of mineral salt, 1 teaspoon of ground fennel, and 3 tablespoons of paprika. Pop them in the pot and stirred them just to sort of bring out the flavors, heat them up a little bit. Just a minute or two in with the garlic. Choosing a good curry powder really does make a big difference with this dish. Found one we really like at a local Asian supermarket. Then I added coconut milk. I actually ended up putting 2 tins of coconut milk in this one. I think the recipe calls for 1. Then you add the chicken in. Once you've cut all the chicken up, stir it in. This is me adding the second tin of coconut milk. Sometimes I just add a few extra ingredients like that to bulk it out, depending on how many people I'm feeding. Extra chicken, extra veggies, extra, I think there's tomato in this that I put in. Here it is, yeah, tomato sauce. So it calls for 2 tins of tomato sauce. If I was really having to bulk it out, I may add 3 tins of the tomato sauce and then some extra veggies. Next you add 1 tea bag of peppermint tea. So I just crack open the peppermint tea and sort of shake it in. Open the little tea bag, shake it all in and mix that in. It really adds a lovely, just really different but beautiful dimension of flavor to this yummy dish. Next I add broth. Now the recipe itself actually calls for water, but I am always looking for ways to pack more nutrient density into a meal, and I will often, especially with soups and stews, I will substitute water for broth to add that in. Then Greek yogurt, and before I did this, I often take out a few cupfuls and put it in a little saucepan at the back there for the 2 of us who are not eating a lot of dairy right now, but for everyone else, the Greek yogurt and the Philadelphia cheese, which just makes it so delicious. So I sort of cube it, mix it in, and it honestly, it mixes in fairly well, but there are usually a few little pieces of Philly cheese floating around in the curry at the end, which is just a nice little treat for whoever happens to get those. And that's about it really for this. And you're done. I often, if I have the time, I will serve this with a green veggie on the side. But on this occasion, I was in a hurry and didn't have time for that. Well, it is a good while later. I have just got home from my meeting a little while ago, and my boys were out playing basketball, so I've dished up for them. This is our finished curry, and honestly, just what would be absolute perfection would be to have a sprig of fresh coriander on the top, or cilantro, as my American friends call it. But it is still delicious, just as is. So yummy scrummy. And I've put the leftover carcass in here, and I had another carcass in the fridge from a previous meal this week. So I'm just going to fill this up. I may actually transfer it into another pot as I'm looking at that. Anyway, I'm going to make some chicken broth in that. I have done another video on chicken broth a while ago, and so I'll pop a link to that. Lord help me remember to put a link to that below of how I do my chicken broth, because it was a long time before I found a chicken broth recipe that my kids really love, but this one is delish. So I will have that going all night, and that will make some nice fresh broth for the meals throughout the next week. And that's about it tonight. I'm ready to go have a cup of tea and put my feet up. But you know, having gone through that for today and harvested that chook and made a meal, I'm like, yeah, I can see how our grandparents used to do this. It really wasn't too big of a deal and quite achievable. And yes, I had to put my mind to it, and yes, I had to kind of plan a little bit as far as, but I could see how you'd get in the swing of that and it wouldn't be such a big deal. So anyway, it was good experience. Thanks for coming along with me, and I will see you next time. Sunshine and raindrops. Until then.